or for the Yankees, Giancarlo Stanton used the torpedo bat last year. Some of the other Yankees did too, and some other players around the game did as well. So it's not that common and uncommon. So it's one I think we're going to see more and more players. It's not exclusive to the Yankees by any means. And oh, by the way, the Yankees hitters will get into a slump at some point this year as well, right? I mean, they're not all going to continue this pace. They're going to struggle, and it won't be because the torpedo. I mean, maybe not. I mean, I thought maybe the Dodgers would lose, but maybe they're not going to either. They win again over the weekend. They beat the Tigers. They're 5-0 right now. They swept the Tigers. They come back. ROKI SASAKI really struggles Saturday. Can't find the strike zone. His command's not there. But they do what a good team does, the Dodgers. They give up 2 runs in the first inning. They come back with one of their own in the top of the first, the bottom of the first, one of their own at the bottom of the second. Sasaki's out. But they come back. They go on to win the game 7-3. And they just find different ways to win games. Whatever the storyline is, they find a way at the end of it that they're shaking hands with each other and walking off the field.
Yeah, it's just impressive, what they've done, not only nationally, but internationally. They started their season in Japan, winning a couple of games, and then being able to pull some out here, 5-0 start. It's everybody that contributes, right? Like we expect it from Ohtani. We expect it from Freddie Freeman, who had himself a big home run yesterday, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, but Teoscar has been a huge part of it. We've seen, Max Muncy. Well, I'm sorry, not Max Muncy. He's actually struggled early on, but you've still seen Conforto do what he did yesterday as well. Tommy Edman, Tommy Tanks. Gotta love that. No, I think my biggest takeaway is Sasaki. I'm going to use some time to talk about Sasaki because I think like everybody's on the edge of their seat to try to figure out what he has. And I think the biggest issue for me, not just command, but more specifically, the split finger is the one that we've all been waiting to see dominance from, right? And he just hasn't been getting hitters to swing at it very much. So this is the numbers. Sasaki threw 15 splitters against the Cubs. He only got 2 swings and 1 swing and miss. He's threw 15 splitters against the Tigers and generated 4 swings and only 2 swing and miss. So and between the 2 starts, only 1 split has been called a strike. So a couple of things. He hasn't thrown strikes with it, but also he hasn't got hitters to think it might be a strike and them swing and miss at it. And if you don't have your best pitch as a pitcher competing in a game in major league games, it's going to be tough and it's going to be a struggle, but he's going through the learning curve right now, Steve, and we're going to see whether or not he's able to make those adjustments and ultimately come out of it.
Yeah, when you can't throw your best pitch over the plate, you're naked on the mound, right? You don't have anything you can go to, and it's got to be really tough on him. One, he's young. 2, the assimilation is not insignificant of trying to come over and compete here, different size baseball and everything else. And so it's going to take a little bit of time, but that's the beauty of what the Dodgers are, is that they don't have just a single layer of greatness on their roster. They've got multiple layers of greatness. So Sasaki gets knocked out. Okay, we'll bring in our bullpen and go 7 1/3 innings of 1-run baseball. Oh, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman can't play in Tokyo. Oh, okay. Kike Hernandez will come in. We'll move Tommy Edman in from the outfield. We'll put Paz into center field. We're okay. They can navigate and manage losses better than anybody else can, and they can manage and navigate games better than everybody else can.
Yeah, that credit to that is to Dave Roberts. He went out, did what he needed to do last year, got his extension. He makes the right call. Like yesterday is important to make the right calls as to who you're bringing in and when, in order for you to stay in this ball game, right? Don't forget the Tigers. They end up, cutting the lead a little bit in the 7th inning. Then they go out and score a couple of more. So it's just always pressure on the opposing pitchers when you have that type of lineup and you have a manager making the right decisions. I'll say this last thing about ROKI SASAKI, because we saw an emotional ROKI SASAKI on Saturday. And you could see visually the tears, right? The water in his eyes. And it told me one thing, Steve. Remember, they said he was going to come over and he was still going to be a work in progress, not only physically, but also from a maturity standpoint. He's still young. Like, he's still going to battle those trust issues within himself that we all go through as players early on. He's trying to prove himself. And that to me reminds me of how young he is and how much of a learning curve he's going to have to battle here with the major leagues.
Hey, listen, we saw with Jackson Holliday last year, when young players go all the way up to the major leagues, whether it's in Japan or here, and they've not struggled, right? They've not failed. Then when they face that, they've got to figure out how to deal with it. And they've never done it before. Because once you've done it a few times, when you start to struggle, and you will, you've got something to fall back on that you can say to yourself, okay, I remember when I did this before. This is what I did. These were my cues. This is the checklist of things I need to look at. This is where my mind needs to be. I have to remember to tell myself, trust the process, stay with that. Don't get jumpy. Don't feel like I need to change everything. But when you've not been through it, and Sasaki dominated from youth all the way up to the major leagues and the Nippon Professional Baseball League, he's not struggled. Like, he's dominated. And we've seen other players. Adley Rutschman struggled for the first time last year in a season. He hadn't struggled before. He dominated college baseball, got into pro ball, was doing great until he didn't. Jackson Holliday ran into it last year, and everybody's going to do it. The best of the best of the best struggle. You've got to find a way to overcome that with changes and adjustments in season. And generally, it's not about changing your hands where you're hitting or changing the grip on a baseball. A lot of it is about get strike one as a pitcher. Thinking in what's going on in your head, the mental part of the game is such an important aspect of all of that. And certainly they're going through it right now. Dave Sims, the voice of the Yankees. If I'm a hitter. Yeah.
I was just saying, if I'm a hitter and I can eliminate your best pitch, like, right. As a hitter, I know you only have a certain pitch to offer, right? And if you can't locate, like, that makes my zone, and we call it sometimes hunting windows. I like how Austin Riley puts it, hunting certain windows. If I can eliminate a pitch in a certain area in which you're throwing, and I can look in one fat spot. It reminds me of Ken Griffey Slugfest when I was playing on Nintendo 64. The circle gets huge, and you hit a bomb almost every single time. That's what it's like.
Yeah, I remember playing Pong on Atari, where you sort of, put the move that line up there. And have you ever played that? It's a little before your time, I think. Yeah, I know. It's a little before your time. But Pong really was just such an amazing game on Atari back in the day. That and Pac-Man. How about that? Have you ever heard of that one as well from back in the day?
Hey, I know both of those. I know both of those.
Okay, good. Thank you for making me feel a little bit better. Just a little bit better. And it is time to take you around the bases, hitting on all the top stories of the day. So we kick things off with a single, and that's the Cleveland Guardians avert disaster with Jose Ramirez and take the rubber game of the series against the Kansas City Royals.
Swung on and blasted by Kyle Manzardo, high and deep to right and off the facing of the fountains. Home run Manzardo, whose hot start continues.
Yeah, we've been aggressive early and then making them work. The Fink and the hitting group have done a great job of game planning, and our hitters are buying into it. And I feel like we're swinging at the right pitches and taking the borderline ones. And, it's 3 days in a row we've really made the starter work. And, again, tip your cap to Waka for 4 innings. We got his pitch count up, but we didn't get much off of him. So, but a great job by our hitters. Like I've said all weekend, this is a great team across the way. It's going to be a battle all year with them as well as the rest of the teams in our division. And just have a lot of respect for them and the way they play. And it's going to be a battle, but that's our goal: win every series, and especially on the road, it's not easy to do. So, credit to our guys. It's going to be a happy flight to San Diego.
Well, there you hear the voice of Stephen Vogt, manager of the Cleveland Guardians, and he understands the adjustments offensively for this team. They've done a great job. Kyle Manzardo, what a find he has been this year. The power bat developing, growing. He has been so productive for them. And if they can get him and Nolan Jones going a little bit, and Jose Ramirez. Now, Jose Ramirez, we mentioned that, averting disaster. Saturday, slid into second base, throwing out stealing, but slid in funny, kind of rolled on his wrist. Seems like it's just a mild wrist sprain. It doesn't seem like it's anything major. They can't afford to lose him for any significant period of time. So generally speaking, you take that into account, the Ramirez slide and potential injury. And even though he's okay, the idea that you got through the weekend, he's going to be all right, and you ended up winning 2 out of 3. Not the worst thing for the Guardians this weekend.
Yeah, a couple of things about this Guardians weekend. I look at it's a tough divisional matchup, right? These are two teams that are expected to do a whole lot throughout the course of this season and maybe even be better than last year. I think the Jose Ramirez thing sounds good because he didn't necessarily have to go in for x-rays, and it sounded like he's going to be okay, just needs to take some time. One of the most important players in the game, so we know how much of a priority it is to keep him healthy. Look, Tanner Bybee, that was one of the things I like seeing is he had the food poisoning going into, opening day. He was supposed to start for this team on opening day. Ben Lively ends up starting, but to see him be able to go out there, mix and match some of this stuff, I wish he threw a little bit more of the cutter for strikes. Didn't necessarily have the pinpoint accuracy, but good to see him back with himself being healthy and doing it. Manzardo, to your point, he comes over from the Rays, and he's such an offensive first guy. Like, he's got a hit. You think about Naylor going over to the Diamondbacks. They're going to need more protection for Jose Ramirez. Manzardo should be that dude, and he's still young, too, 25 years old, I believe. Left-on-left matchup yesterday, took a pitch up in the zone and smashed it. So good to see that in the middle of the order for the Guardians.
Yeah, the bullpen there has actually done a pretty good job. Now, a little bit of concern around Hunter Gaddis is that he's been a little bit pitching himself into trouble and then out of trouble. But sooner or later, you're playing with fire when you do it. Now, Emmanuel Clase, something to keep an eye on as well. And certainly our thoughts go out to Jonathan India. Got hit in the head with a pitch from Emmanuel Clase in that ninth inning of the game yesterday. Seems like he's going to be okay. I think he's in concussion protocol, checking to make sure he's going to be all right. So we certainly hope that he's going to be back on his feet, back in the lineup soon. But for Clase, too, he's not quite been himself. Remember, got knocked around the playoffs last year, not quite as effective as he was during the season. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if that's a lingering issue for a very, very, very hardworking bullpen for the Cleveland Guardians. All right, we want to first go to second with a double, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays and the Orioles split at the weekend series. It was started ugly on Thursday for the Blue Jays, but they rallied back. They split the series, but news that Max Scherzer is lost to the injured list with a thumb injury.
And Heineman crushes it deep to left field. Cows are going back. It's out of here. The second career Major League home run for Tyler Heineman, who comes screaming around second base.